Hey everyone, today I'll be using MacDuff's-Trail tobacco and I will be discussing the Battle of Castle Itter, in which the American forces and the Germans fought side by side. Against who? Stick around. Morning everybody, John Bonham here, Cape Cod Wet Shaving. How's it going? Alright, so I'm going to speed through this, get through it as quickly as I can. I got a really good one for you guys today. There's a lot to cover, the most I've done so far. People who, I've been pushing these videos past the 30-minute limit. I know that's a lot of time for you guys to sit here and watch a dude shave. Hopefully the history thing has been making it bearable. This one's long. In order to do it justice, I had to add a little more than I usually do. I still skipped over some stuff that it really bothered me, but it is what it is. So real quick, I'm going to go through what I'm using. I'll be using trail tobacco. I have 3 more scents of MacDuff's to use for the month of MacDuff's. This one I don't know if I'm going to be doing a live shave for a while after this one. I am going to New Hampshire next week on vacation, one little last hurrah before the kids go to school. Speaking of that, I'm wearing their Quashnet Falcons. That's where my middle son goes to elementary school, so I'm wearing his shirt today. So I'll be using trail tobacco splash. I will also be using Sterling Gentleman from Sterling, for the pre-shave and the post-shave balm. This has tobacco vanilla, a little spiciness for those who don't know, and the trail tobacco, Sean is a pipe smoker. So he really knew what he was doing when he threw this together. And I always say this about MacDuff's, but it's one of my favorites. Any tobacco, really. I love, you know, Havana from HSSC, Highland Springs. I got a few others I can't think of off the top of my head. So I'll be using that. I'll be using, this is called a CISO Classic. I got this off of Amazon for 60 bucks, stainless steel. I just like the long handle because that's my thing, and I love the knurling. It was unique, little 3-piece. Pretty sure it's made in China, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to double check that. It's a nice little razor for the price. I'm always curious about trying razors I've never heard of. And I'll be using my Omega Beechwood boar brush. I love boar brushes. Oh, and coffee. Nicaragua from Sterling. That is a dark one. I like it a lot. Back when I used to drink beer, the darker the better. Same with my coffee. Like, my favorite beers were stouts and porters. Probably porter more than anything else. That was hands down my favorite beer was porter. Same with my coffee. I like it really dark, thick. My wife not so much, but whatever. Not really. And I'm doing Parker blades. I don't know if I mentioned that. So, all right. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Battle of Castle Itter. And it was a World War, I got my notes here, I have a ton of notes that I had to write down. I knew a little bit of it, but not to this degree. So if you see me shifting off, that's what I'm doing. So it's a World War II military engagement in which U.S. soldiers joined forces with renegade German troops of the Heer. It's called the Heer, the German army. So there's the Waffen-SS, and there's also the Heer, which was the normal German army, armed forces. Renegade German troops to turn back a Waffen-SS assault on the fortress. So, I'm going to say real quick, this is the first time I've covered Nazi stuff on YouTube. I'm hoping very much I don't get flagged for this. If I do, I'm going to try to appeal it. Because there's only one image I'm worried about, and that's the cover image I'm going to use that you've seen when you clicked on this, because of the emblem. But I am going to have a couple photos. So we'll see. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'll appeal it and everything will go okay. It won't come to that. But anyway, so here's Castle Itter. Boom. Pretty cool. There's a second photo where it shows the main entry. When they laid siege to the castle, I don't know if they just tried going through the front entrance. It was a group of Waffen-SS, 100 to 150. So it wasn't a lot. It's not like they can encircle the whole castle. But yeah, that's the castle. So, some people might have heard of this battle. It's getting a little more known. I've noticed I was able to find a lot more info on it than I thought I would. But a lot of the sites I went to says it's the only engagement in which Allies fought with Germans. It's not. It's one of two. The other one is Operation Cowboy. I will be talking about that separately. There's way too much for this one, but there were two known occasions where Allies and Germans fought side by side. But this one I think is pretty badass, so we're going to get into it. So it was fought on May 5th, 1945. This is 3 days before the surrender of the Germans and the end of the war in Europe. Not the end of World War II, but the end of the war in Europe. It occurred in the town of Tyrol, Austria. The castle existed as a fortress since at least the 13th century. It was rebuilt in 1532. It was renovated in 1878 and was a hotel early in the 20th century. So before the breakout of World War II, it was a hotel. It was just a, nice, beautiful place. The Austrian Alps, I want to see those so badly. Michael Damisch, Herr Damisch. I'm pretty sure you're in Germany, if I remember correctly, but I would like, there's some beautiful country out there, man. I'd love to see it. Any parts of Europe. But I wouldn't go to the famous touristy spots. I'd want to see country and things of that nature. So it was a hotel. In 1940, after the Anschluss, and I took German in high school, so I'll be using a lot of the terminology if I can, but I'm still going to butcher some stuff, sorry. The Anschluss of Austria was the incorporation of Austria into the Third Reich in 1938, right before the outbreak of war. So in 1940, it was, what I found interesting was that it was rented out to the Nazi government. I was kind of under the impression those guys took and did what they wanted, but it was rented out. So I'm assuming it was a Nazi sympathizer who owned it. And so the Nazis in turn made sure that they were paid well. So I don't know, I couldn't find anything and I just didn't really delve too deep because I had enough on my plate as it was. So you get a good balance going with this soap. Anytime I use a boar brush on Sean's soap, I'm very careful because it's going to go on thin and then I'm going to thicken it up as we go along. So here we go. So in 1943, the castle came under the administration of Dachau concentration camp. Now this concentration camp, it's notorious, people know it. It's right up there with Auschwitz, but Dachau was about 90 miles away. Not kilometers, and miles. But it was under the administration of Dachau concentration camp. So, because of this, it became a detention facility for prisoners who were considered by the Third Reich to be valuable bargaining chips for hostage and ransom. So because of that, there's some pretty interesting people here. Here, one sec. Thicken it up. Let's just see. Made into a special SS detention facility for prisoners who held possible value as hostages. Basically what I said. So, the last prisoners of Castle Itter, towards the end of the war, were generally elderly French politicians. Now, these French politicians either did not toe the line from the get-go, or the Vichy government, they fell afoul of the Vichy government. For those who don't know, the Vichy government, there's a man named, what's his name? Paul Reynaud, excuse me. Paul Reynaud was the premier of France on the onset of the French invasion by Germany. He fought tooth and nail to fight against Germany along with the Allies, America and Britain. Or I'm sorry, just Britain at the time. And once it became evident that the Germans were going to occupy France, he resigned. And he was immediately arrested and he would be locked up throughout the remainder of the war. So after him, there's a man named Philippe Pétain. He was a Nazi collaborator and they started the Vichy government. It was a puppet government outside of Vichy, France, which is where it got its name, led by Philippe Pétain. There's a lot of French words, so I'm double checking. And yeah, it was a puppet state, and he was a Nazi collaborator. So the people that were in the castle were, you know, politics. So the Frenchmen who had been high-ranking officials had fallen out of favor with Vichy France, or the Third Reich. So the notable prisoners are Paul Reynard. Here's Paul. That's the one I was just talking about. This guy was pretty cool. He even locked up and arrested. I think he was doing stuff to try to fight the occupation of his country, which is what you're supposed to do because, you know, it's your country. So that's Paul. There's a man named Jean-Robert Barotra. I know I'm not pronouncing that right. I'm not good at French. I will show his picture in a minute. He was a champion tennis player, and was also the Vichy minister of sport until he fell out of favor with the puppet regime, the puppet government in France. And he plays a big part in this, and he'll come up later. So there's also the sister of Charles de Gaulle. Charles de Gaulle was the brigadier general of the forces that fought against Germany once Germany invaded. And obviously he was defeated, but his sister was locked up in Castle Itter. So in 1945, Dachau's commandant. Now keep in mind, all the Allies are coming over, and everyone's fleeing, especially the people in the concentration camp. They were killing people or just leaving them outright to fend for themselves. You had Russia coming from the east, and once another front was opened up in Normandy, you had the Allies coming from the west. There's also another front opened up in Sicily, but that's another one, another story. Lucky Luciano helped with that. I might do that on here. Yes, Lucky Luciano helped the Allies during World War II. Go figure. Anywho, sorry. See? So many branches on the history tree. Where was I? Oh, so the commandant of Dachau fled to Castle Itter. 2 days later, he would kill himself. May 2nd. Committed suicide in the castle. So once that happened, the commandant of Castle Itter was basically, in essence, like, holy freaking crap. This is serious. Turn my cliff notes over. And so he and the rest of the guards flee. Or here. I'm going to keep that. May 4th, the castle's commandant and guards abandoned the castle and prisoners, but the prisoners could not leave because the whole area was laden with hostile German forces still. So they were trapped here. And what the Waffen-SS was doing was going around and making sure, because by now Hitler had done his scorched earth decree, something that Albert Speer had made sure did not happen, but the diehard members of the Nazi party were still going around making sure the Nazis were fighting to the bitter end. And the Waffen-SS were the fanatics, thanks to Himmler. So, the prisoners, here's where it gets cool. The prisoners sent the castle handyman. It was a Czechoslovakian man by the name of Zvonimir Kuchevich. Probably didn't say that right at all. That sounded more Russian. To get help from the advancing Americans. So they knew the Americans were coming. He made contact in the town of Innsbruck. But the castle was outside the American division's jurisdiction. So he did find the Americans, but the Americans said, sorry, that's beyond the lines we're allowed to go. So the cool thing is, he made contact with a man named Major John T. Kramers. In defiance of his own orders, Kramers sent a small team, rescue team, with the handyman to go back. Now, meanwhile, everyone in the castle had no idea if the handyman made it or not. They had heard nothing back from him. They feared the worst. Obviously, why would you not? So, not knowing the fate of the handyman, The prisoners sent out the cook, Andreas Krobot. Andrea Krobot. He encountered Major Sepp Gangl. Here he is. Sepp Gangl, a Wehrmacht officer who had given up the Nazi cause and was leading a small group of German soldiers. And he was actually going around fighting other Germans. Like, the war's lost, put down your arms, you know, leave the civilians alone. There's no reason to keep doing this. Basically, he was a traitor to the fanatics. But that's it. Not a bad looking dude. So Gangl then, once he talked to the cook and was told of the situation, he went along and he made contact with the Americans. He made contact with the Americans, and he met up with a man by the name of Captain Jack C. Lee. Yeah. That's a good looking son of a gun, man. I love the World War II stuff. Look at that uniform. Look how badass that is. Captain Lee, right there. So, he was a U.S. tank commander, and the two officers went together. A German Wehrmacht officer and an American officer went together to go scope out Castle Itter. They did. They took a kind of military look around, looked at the positives and negatives, the terrain, all that good stuff. I think it's called reconnoitering. When you go and take a military outlook on a place that you plan on doing a battle, I believe it's called reconnoitering. They did that. Then after that, Lee organized a rescue party. And in being a tank commander, he had planned on taking 3 tanks to the castle to help. The only way they could get there was over a rickety bridge that there's no way it could really even take the troops, let alone a tank. And so he was only able to get 1 tank to the castle, just 1. He had 3. He only could get 1 there. He didn't go over the bridge. He found a way to get it there. Real quick, I'm going to take a pause to talk about this soap. So this razor, first of all, is the first time I've used it. I love it. It's very mild though. Very mild. Those who like aggressive razors, you might not like this. I like this enough that I feel comfortable, and it's mild enough, that I feel comfortable throwing a feather blade in here. So next time I use this, I'm going to throw in a feather blade. See how that goes. I think it'll go swimmingly. Very nice razor. So if you go on Amazon, just look up Ceeso. It's C-E-E-S-O. And it was recommended to me on Amazon because I bought the Wilkinson sword TTO. Which is odd because this isn't a TTO, it's a 3-piece. Tomato, tomato. And it sucked because I waited. I wasn't going to get it originally and it's 25% off. I waited too long and it was 15, but whatever. Still got it. So this soap is remarkable. So the scent notes real quick. Tobacco, lemon zest. See what I mean about him mixing up some interesting, I mean, you wouldn't think there'd be lemon in a tobacco soap, man. Just MacDuff's does an outstanding job. Lemon zest, spiced plum, roasted coffee, vetiver, and cedar. So cedar is that last ingredient, but man, it kicks up once you lather it and it's on your face for a while. It's yummy. It's a great blend. Those scent notes. And I'm painting it on a little thin now. I'm not trying to. I got one more pass on my neck to do. I might do a little bit more of a touch up than I normally do. I'm actually doing quite well with this video. I'm almost towards the end. Man, this thing's shedding a lot. It's still relatively new. I didn't really break it in a lot before I used it. But yeah, so you get out of the jar, obviously you get the tobacco and you get the woody. But once it lathers, it gets almost, maybe almost chocolatey, I was going to say. Like a Connecticut wrapper for a cigar. That's still a little runny, but for those who don't know cigars, Connecticut wrapper is one of my favorite cigars to smoke because a Connecticut wrapper is chocolate almost. I'm not a cigar aficionado by any means. There's plenty of people who might watch this and disagree or know something more chocolatey, but in my experience, limited experience, I do know Connecticut wrappers were my favorites. Just a very aromatic, chocolatey leaf. So, anywho, there we go, that's better. All right, so took charge of the castle defenses. So Lee took charge of the castle defenses out of everybody, which says a lot that Gongal capitulated his command for the greater good. Plus, at this point, I'm sure Lee had more firepower, better armament, all that good stuff. Bloody windstorm under my chin here. All right. So the entire group consisted of Americans and Germans, as you know. The assault came on the morning of May 5th, 45. So the prisoners, Lee told the prisoners specifically, you need to go and hide. Go into the walls, go into the, what's the word I'm looking for? What are the towers called? Not parapets. It's going to come to me after this video. Basically, go into the walls, go hide. We'll fight, go hide. Keep in mind, these are elderly men, women, people who've been locked up. They weren't mistreated per se. They had been well fed. It wasn't concentration camp conditions because you don't want people borderline dying if you're going to use them for bargaining chips. They wanted them taken care of. So they weren't sickly or anything. I'm sure they weren't happy. Not the best, they could be, but they weren't like you would think with Dachau or one of the concentration camps. So the prisoner said, no way, Jose. We have some small arms left over from when the guards cut out and took off on us. We're going to fight. And Lee was like, nope, terrible idea. Gongal, please tell them the same thing. He said, yep, go hide. We'll take care of this. And they were like, no, we're not doing that. Assholes kept us prisoner. We're going to fight. And they went, okay. Excuse my French. Sorry, I got a little into it. And they said, okay, who are you going to tell him no? I'm not going to tell him no. Paul Reynaud, you're going to tell him no? They locked him up after he fought tooth and nail to keep him out of his country, and they took it anyways and locked him up? No, you're not going to do that. So they some of them, I think, had sticks. They were relegated to, there wasn't a lot for them. They're small arms. I'm sure they didn't have the best they could have. They didn't have the Waffen-SS kinds of stuff. So, there's a force of 100 to 150 Waffen-SS, as I said. Despite the resistance, the SS were actually starting to win. They were starting to work their way into the castle, take the castle, beginning to get the upper hand. Now here is where Jean Barota comes in. He volunteered, the tennis star, famous tennis star, recognized by them. They knew him from the media. There's pictures of him. He volunteered to jump over the castle walls and beeline it for help, for reinforcements. And they said, yeah, okay, what do we got to lose? He did that. He hopped over, went past tons of SS, heavy SS areas, camps, scouting parties, all that stuff. Was able to stay hidden. And this is him right here. Jean Barota, if I'm saying that right. Barotra, sorry. That's him right there in the middle of a tennis match. Pretty cool. So he ran over, went and got reinforcements. Several SS strong points is what it said. Found American troops. So here's the gangster part. We need help. We're at Castle Itter. Da-da-da. Okay, we're going to go help. Awesome. Give me an American uniform. I'm fighting with you. I'm like, what? Okay, you sure? And yeah, he's sure. He's already gone. Okay, fair enough. Which he did. He put on a uniform, marched alongside of him, right back into the fray to make sure that they were rescued. So the reinforcements arrived. The SS were easily defeated. The ones that were not killed were taken hostage, taken as POWs. They didn't give an exact number that I could find. It was over 100 out of 150. So it was, some of them obviously were killed, I would assume. So here's the sad part. Gongol, the Major Gongol, Sepp Gongol, was the only casualty of the ones that were fighting to defend the castle. He was shot in the neck by a sniper defending Paul Reynaud. He died for the ex-premier of France, which is basically the Chancellor of France, high position. It says a lot. And I don't understand why this isn't more well known, but he died defending. The Frenchman who hated Germany for what they had done was saved by a German who took a bullet in the neck for him. Only casualty. So to this, right now, to this day, Major Sepp Gongol is considered an Austrian hero. And this is a cool photo right here. These are some of the survivors. And second to the right is Paul Reynaud. So, yeah, pretty crazy, huh? Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to rinse off and then I'm going to do post-shave. Be right back. All right. So post-shave, guys. I started a video. I thought I started my video and it stopped on me. So I guess I wasn't doing a video at all, which really sucks. What I was saying is I love this razor. I love it a lot. A lot. 60 bucks, stainless, as I said. I'm pretty sure that's zinc plated cap, top cap and plate, but I got a really smooth shave with this. $60. Feels very nice in the hand, long handle. Nice heft to it. I like it a lot. Definitely recommend it if you guys want a mild razor that's not too expensive. So I already put the splash on. That's what I mean. I did that during the video and the video went off. So I don't know what happened there. But anyway. So real quick, I also want to say Captain Lee was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, which is that. Big honor, obviously. Pretty cool looking. And I mentioned Gongol was a hero. I also wanted to say that Jean Barostra continued playing tennis until, I believe, 1956 or 1957, somewhere around there. I think it was 57. So, yeah, very interesting. I really wish there's, there's another thing too. I was about to say, I wish there was a movie about this. There is kind of one loosely based on it. It has Peter Falk in it. I forget what it's called. Castle Keep, I think. But there is a book. And the book is called The Last Battle. And it's by a man named Stephen Harding. In fact, you probably saw that picture of Lee. The bottom left corner there. Stephen Harding. It's courtesy of him. So, if you're really interested in this and you want to get all the details of it, I plan on getting that book myself. I found that book coming, I came across it while I was doing research for this. So I'm getting that book. Yeah, so, all right, guys, I think that's about it. Hopefully this doesn't get flagged or removed. If it doesn't, that's awesome, because World War II stuff's amongst my favorites. As I've mentioned, I know it's probably like the 5th time I've said that, but I'm glad I finally did one. It's a long one, but definitely a story worth telling. And if no one's ever heard of this, go look it up, dude. It's amazing. Just Google it. Don't even do Wikipedia. I mean, Wikipedia is good, obviously, but there's so much more details in different articles. And again, if you're interested, go look that book up. It's on Amazon. I don't know how much. I didn't even look. It didn't matter to me. I was like, I'm gonna get that. But all right, thank you again for anyone who watched all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. If you stumbled on this by accident, like and subscribe, please. Really appreciate it. You guys can go on my Instagram. You know my affiliate codes and the Heritage Hill affiliate link. If you feel so inclined, I would appreciate it. Another thing of coffee. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys. If anyone can think of anything, if you have any recommendations, let me know. I'll definitely be more than happy to do one. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys. Happy shaving. Great seeing you. Have a great little tiny bit of the rest of the summer. Till next time, take it easy.